We're here on code.org and we want to press finish so that we can get on level 9 here. And the first thing I want to show you guys is how to get to an RGB color picker on Google, because it's a little bit easier to do that than to go back to the widget we used earlier in the lessons. So if you go to Google and type RGB color picker, it will pull up this widget right here, or widget, whatever you guys want to call it. And you can use the slider to slide to different color families. So the next color that we're going to pick a color for is spring. So let's just pick a spring color together. Spring always makes me think of green because, you know, the leaves are coming out after a cold winter. You know what I mean. Okay, so when you slide to the correct color, we can then, pick a color that, makes us think of that particular season. So you guys can choose any color that works for spring. And so I'm going to pick this green, and it shows me what the RGB is right down here. So the RGB value for this particular hue of green is 143, 247, 134. So I'm going to use that on my web page over here. So I'm going to click back, and what we're going to do on these two levels, I think we're working on spring right now, we are going to change these words right here to be that green color, whatever color you choose, and also change them to a different font. So let's just kind of recap here. In our winter example, both the heading and the descriptive words have that special color and font. So let's first click over to our style.css page. And we can see that a class has actually been started for us called spring. And this is where we create it. So down below here, I'm going to type in my color. And of course, I need to reference that number. I think I can copy and paste it. You guys probably can as well. So I'm going to type RGB. And then I'm going to put in my number here. And nothing is going to change yet, because remember, this is something we also need to add to our HTML. So don't be alarmed if nothing is changed yet, but make sure you get your semicolon in there. And then the font, I'm going to choose for spring. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose sans serif. Why not? Okay, so I have my color in there. I have my font family. And I have my class created. My semicolons are there. I'm good to go for my HTML. So now I'm going to go over to my index.html and I'm going to scroll down to the color words here. So just like we did up here with the winter class, we're going to do the same thing down here with the spring class. So whatever is easier for you guys, if you guys want to type all of them or if you want to copy and paste. So this time I'm going to type it in once and I'm going to see if my heading changed. It did. So that means it's applying the color and the font style that we picked back in our CSS. So I'm going to continue that here for my other words, and then I'm going to check to make sure they're working at the end. It's really important when you guys are doing this to make sure that you're not forgetting any of those characters, that you're spelling class correctly, that you have the equal sign, you have the quotation marks, and also that you are inside the tag, not outside the tag. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I see students make is they're trying to put the class outside here where it needs to be inside the H2 and the H5 tags. So when we do that, all of the words change color. So here's my code. So you guys should do the same thing on your page, but like I said, you can choose a different font and a different RGB value if you want. Press finish. And then on level 10, we're going to do the same thing for summer and autumn. So first, I'm going to pick my summer color. When I think of summer, I always think of yellow, like a bright yellow for the sun. So I'm going to pick this bright yellow, and there's my RGB value down there. I'm going to copy it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my style.css, and underneath the last curly brace, I'm going to go below it, and now I'm going to create a class for summer by typing .summer and then putting the curly brace. I'm going to put my RGB value, which I chose over from my Google color picker. Make sure it's in parentheses and you put your semicolon at the end. And then I'm going to choose a different font family for this one. And for this one, I'm going to choose monospace. And then I'm going to put my curly brace at the end. Now remember, the words are not going to change yet because we need to add it to our HTML. So going back to our HTML, underneath here, we're going to do the same thing we just did for spring. So class equals, this time it's going to be summer. Let's make sure that the CSS worked after just changing the first one. And it did, but the color's not working. Doesn't like these colors. 245, 238, 47. Oh, I see my mistake here. Okay, so even just, I can make mistakes too, guys. So little things like that can cause a mistake. So I just had an extra space in there. I took it out and that fixed it. So that's kind of why it's good to check after the first one to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. So now that I know it's working, I'm going to add my other classes just by typing class equals summer. And like I said, you guys can copy and paste this if it's easier for you. I'm just going to type it so you can see what the process is. But of course, you want to be careful not to make a mistake. Remember all your quotation marks. Make sure you have your equal sign and make sure you are inside the tag. So summer is done. And finally, we're going to pick fall, one of my favorite seasons. So for fall, I'm going to choose an orange color, like a very dark orange. So I'm going to be right here, and there's my RGB value. I'm going to copy it, take it back over to code.org, my style.css, and I'm going to create my last class for fall. So I'm going to type .fall. I have my curly brace. I'm going to type my color property here, and then RGB, making sure this time that I don't have an extra space in there. Close my parentheses and add my semicolon at the end. Finally, I need to choose my last font family, and I don't think that I've chosen cursive yet. So I'm going to choose cursive so that they're all four different. Of course, you guys can pick whatever color and whatever font families you want as long as they're all four different. And I'm going to close my curly brace at the end. So I'm just going to double check my CSS here, make sure I have .fall, the curly brace, the color with the RGB values, and then the font family. So of course, scrolling down, it's not changed yet because we need to change our HTML. So let's just try it with this first heading here, and let's see if it works. And it does. So I'm going to type that for the rest of them. And when I'm done, all of the seasons will be a different color and a different font family. So when I scroll down, this is what it looks like. And then we have these pretty pictures of fall, summer, spring, and winter. All right, guys, so that is a description of how to use classes and RGB colors on your website. Next week, you guys will be applying both classes and RGB colors to your personal website.